Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. There is no better place to buy a boat than Madisonville Marine, and there are 3 ways to buy a boat from Madisonville Marine. First, visit them on Highway 411 North in Madisonville. Second, check out madmarine.com. Or third, wait till the downtown Knoxville Boat Show arrives in early March. Now, if you're wanting a boat quickly, I wouldn't wait, but the downtown Knoxville Boat Show is coming. But if it were me, I'd get down to Highway 411 North in Madisonville and get on the thing right now. Madmarine.com is another way to visit them. Madisonville Marine, there's no better place to buy a boat. All right, and when we need to talk about Tennessee offense, there's no better group of guys to talk about than Josh Ward to run through the roster movement, and then our former players over here to talk about, well, what needs to be done and changed. So let's get right into it. Josh Ward, what do you got in terms of player movement?
Yeah, thanks again, John. We'll take a look here at guys who are leaving, guys that you know. I don't really need to lay out their credentials of the Tennessee players that are departing on the offensive side. But we start with quarterback Hendon Hooker. He's your Heisman candidate, guy that made this offense go. Jalen Hyatt, he's your Bolitnikoff Award winner. Then you have Darnell Wright and Jerome Carvin, 2 guys that are very talented and played a lot of snaps on the offensive line. And then Princeton Fant, who became kind of a do-it-all guy, a guy that could help as a receiver or a runner, as a passer if you needed. So to the guys that will step in with a chance to replace those guys. Now, the first name, Nico Iamaleava, we have talked about a lot. I don't know if it's game 1 or if it's sometime during the season, as the guys discussed earlier in the show, but he will compete to try to help replace Hendon Hooker this upcoming season and likely be the number 2 if he's not the starter. Squirrel White got a shot on Friday night and looked good in his role to help replace Jalen Hyatt. He has that speed element that has to be replaced with Jalen moving on. Cameron Seldon is a freshman to know. This guy could line up at running back. He could line up out wide. He could line up in the slot, 215 pounds, and he can run. And then you have to replace some offensive linemen. One guy who can help is Andre Carrick. He is a transfer from Texas who could play tackle or guard. So as we head back to the former players, guys, what do you see and what Tennessee needs to do next year to keep the offense going?
Thanks, Josh. I think to start, too, we also have the offensive coordinator, like we said, that's going. So there's that part of how important that is to replace or fix, even though it's Josh Heupel's offense, is one question. But, Marlon, when you look at the offense, where are you seeing, like, hey, especially when we look at those games yesterday against Michigan, TCU, Ohio State, where does this offense go to get the improvement?
I think the biggest thing we've got to do is you've got to replace Fant. I think Fant did a lot for this offense. Fant was a key threat down the field. He was a mismatch guy. You can kind of motion him around. He knew the offense. You could tell. You saw that Heupel put him in a lot of different positions. Well, I should say goalers. Put him in a lot of different positions where he can make plays. I think that's harder to replace than what people understand. I think we've got to find a guy that can block, but then at the same time he's versatile enough. You can put him out in space, and he can beat a linebacker. I think that's the biggest spot.
I think on the offensive coordinator piece, I think Josh Heupel's offense is going to just keep rolling, whoever the offensive coordinator is. In terms of the players, to me it starts with Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt. The 2 guys that you're not in the bowl game you just won without those 2. No disrespect to any other kid on the team. Joe Milton has shown flashes now, played his best game in the most recent game, so that's good going forward. Squirrel White looked really good in the game. I think he's a legit player at wide receiver. But we also looked at the running stats, the yards per carry. Yep. You like the running back situation. You like what you've seen. You like what you have. But you need to have that for the offense to run at its optimum level.
And that's what I thought we were looking at and saying that inside offensive guard can win a game against a Clemson defensive lineman, because I didn't see a lot of push. So being able to win up there, and then can you upgrade in running back? Can you get a guy that makes a little bit more miss and is going to be a tougher runner? I think you probably can. So I think, to me, seeing the importance of that stat of running, what can you do that just improves that, where you don't have to fake it or make it? You just say our 2 guys are going to move those 2 guys out of the way.
Yeah, and I think that was evident with the TCU-Michigan game. I think it went exact opposite of how people thought it would go. Yeah. But TCU's, their offensive line, they played awesome in that game. Their running backs ran the ball really well, and they were able to close the game out. Even though it was high scoring, they closed it out because they were running the ball to get first downs, running the ball to eat clock, and eventually playing in the national championship game because of their run game.
Yeah. All right. John, back to you.
All right, very good. Will, Justin, and Marlon will be back with us a little later. When we come back, though, we're going to bring our media guys out here. We're going to talk about fan expectations. 11-2. Orange Bowl champions. 7-6 first year, 11-2. Well, 15 wins next year, right? You're going to have to add 4 more. We'll break down what we think the expectation level will be. We've still got plenty more to come. We're going to hand out some best ofs for the entire season. We're going to talk about how the 2022 season will be remembered. We'll take a look also. They've touched on it a little bit, but what did we learn from the playoff games about whether or not Tennessee could have competed in that Final Four this year, and what do they need to do to get there in years ahead? Much more to come on the Sports Source. Come on back and join us.